Thank you for joining us. This is a very special episode of the Property Guide on ET Now. What a week we've had. Finally, after talking about it for 6 months, we have a new government at the centre. Will this change sentiment in the real estate sector? We'll discuss all of that and more over the next half hour. But first, if you have any questions at all about buying a home in the country, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. You can reach me on Twitter as well. Joining us in our studios today, Om Ahuja, CEO of Residential Services at JLL India. Thank you for coming in. Prashant Agarwal is the co-founder at PropTiger.com. Prashant, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, the big question on everybody's minds is, will a stable government now bring property prices down? Om, we had a very interesting question from one of our viewers. He wrote in saying, okay, now we have a stable government. Now infrastructure might move. Will this mean I can finally buy a house?
There are three ways to look at this whole subject. At this point of time, what we were seeing was there were a lot of people who are fence sitters, who are sitting and watching what was happening. If there is a clarity in terms of how the new government forms, we will take a decision on buying home. So we will continue to see the guys who are actually sitting out as investors will continue to watch for a little more time, because they were taking bets in terms of taking a long-term call on this asset class. But what we are going to see is a lot of actual buyers who are waiting and watching, specifically in the segments, two segments, that is basically the mid segment and the luxury segment, will be out in the market. We've seen this in the last 15 days. Suddenly there is 200% spurt in the activity. People want to catch those deals which are currently on the shelf, may not be on the shelf, with some registration waiver, with some 2080, with some 75-25, God knows what all schemes are there in the market. So there are a lot of people who go out in the market and doing those activities of grabbing those schemes in the market. What is worth watching is the affordable segment. The segment which was abused in last 10-15 years, we really didn't understand what is affordable in real sense. People are looking for affordable homes within the city limits. They're not looking for 20-30 kilometers away from the city. What worries us is a lot of people in most cities, most of the cities, we've seen people going and buying these apartments, thinking that they will continue to stay there. They're currently living on a rent, and they'll basically go and move to those apartments as and when the infrastructure improves. We don't know whether there is a magic wand the new government has which can change over the next 2-3 years. But what we need to see is the housing policy of the new government. The good thing is, there are a lot more options. 2 years back, there were lot few options for people to choose. There are a lot many options today. Whether people are seeing that there will be sudden spurt in prices going up, may not be, but they will be gradually moving up as and when the economy starts improving.
So tell me this, now over the last 6-8 months while we were talking on this show, you've repeatedly said go out, negotiate. You can negotiate at this point. You can get several freebies on an apartment that you choose if you carry your checkbook with you. Now tell me, if I were to go out today, having not taken your advice over the last 6 months, and attempt to get a deal, is there still room to negotiate? Do you think builders now, given the change in sentiment overnight in the country, are going to say, you know what, I'm no longer giving you freebies, this is my final rate? Or how long will that window last before such a thing happens?
Well, it's all velocity. The sales velocity, moment developer sees the sales velocity moving up, he will slowly start withdrawing the offers.
Which he might have already seen?
Which next few days we'll come to know. Within a week's time, 15 days time, we will see that most of the developers acting upon their withdrawal of offers. Going up, prices moving up is a secondary phenomena. First phenomena is wherever they are going out of the pocket to promote sales, they will see the sales velocity of their respective projects and they'll start acting upon it. So what we are seeing is sudden spurt in buying today, primarily people coming out and availing those offers.
And it might be a period of time before those offers get pulled out. Prashant, I want to bring you in here. When you're looking at customers on the website right now, is it true that they're jumping into the market? Are you seeing more people come on and look for property? Are more people now going to sites, visiting, closing deals? Is that what you're witnessing on the ground as well?
Yeah, so, let me kind of take this question in two bits. One is, of course, as, I've been, pointing out over the last few episodes. One is, of course, the demand has, not seen a decline in terms of people actually researching on the website. So we continue to see a lot of, activity on the website over the last, 1 year as well, which I think, is seeing some increase given the results of the election. But of course, what, we expect the behavioral change in terms of fence sitters actually going out and closing deals. Given the current market situation and a lot of deals which have been in the offer over the last, 6 months or so, I think, those will continue in the shorter term until we actually get some positive indication in terms of the government actually going ahead and taking policy decisions and improving infrastructure and the likes. Till then, I think, pricing would kind of continue the same way, and deals would be there for the buyers to, jump in and take advantage of. Thus, I would say this is the right time the right, buyer sentiment, and the developers, of course, would take some time before, they see the velocity and start increasing prices. So right time for the buyers to actually, go and find the best deals and negotiate and close.
Prashant, what cities and markets are you seeing the most activity on right now?
So right now, of course, in terms of demand, I think Bangalore, Mumbai and Pune is seeing a lot of demand. NCR has been kind of slow over the last, one year or so. I think, that also, given that it's the political capital of the country, should start seeing demand, coming soon.
So obviously with the new government now, we already talked about infrastructure. There is a lot of optimism with job creation, especially given the campaign with which, Narendra Modi came into power. There's also some talk right now of a massive bull run in the stock market. How will all of this affect property prices? Because automatically when we're talking about job creation, we're talking about, demand for residential property. And which cities and markets do you expect will recover and start to run up the fastest?
So what we see is we continue to see as stock market does well, the real estate will benefit because a lot more cash flow allocations in terms of asset allocation will actually be parked into real estate. Coming to the major question, that is real question of India, is that is job creation. What we've seen is all this while there has been a boom in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Gurgaon, Mumbai to a little extent, Pune to a great extent. Kolkata was suffering, or maybe we've seen other cities which were actually creating that kind of infrastructure assets which have not seen the jobs. What we are yet to see is if there are three ways to look at this whole approach. Looking at the manifesto, we were looking at, there is a Bombay-Delhi corridor, which is supposed to be the major corridor which expected to be built. And that corridor will see a lot more action in the coming days if things go right. The second corridor, which we believe is a corridor where there is a UP and Bihar belt, which is basically given a lot of response to this new government in terms of success. Is there something they will do in terms of whether there is any initiative that they'll launch in terms of creating more jobs in that sector?
But my question to you today is this. If I were to walk into your office and say, listen, I want to make some investment because I've taken my profit out of the stock market, would you send me to UP, Bihar or to Rajasthan on that corridor? Or would you say, you know what, like I've been saying for the last 6 months, Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, Mumbai, this is the structure that I'm giving you?
Well, I would say Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad continue to be the top favorites. Yes, the new sectors will emerge. We don't have currently options today to offer you that, in Bombay-Delhi corridor, other than Jaipur and Ahmedabad, we don't have, and Baroda, we don't have actually options to offer you, and we don't know whether that job creation will happen in a year, 2 years or 5 years time. Yes, till it happens, it doesn't make sense for you to go and block your money there. It makes sense for you to look at options where there's already job creation, where there is sense of confidence, where there's sense of much more comfort now, because people earlier were worried that if there is an uncertain government at the center, we may see downsizing, we may lose jobs, we don't know really what's going to happen. That kind of shaken confidence has now got built into saying that okay, India is going to see growth, my company is going to expand, I'm going to get bonuses, I'm going to get increments, maybe the job market is going to be better, I may get a better job. So all those things revolve around buying home sentiment improving. So that's the sentiment which we see. These cities will continue to do well. People who are having 2-bedroom hall kitchen in a Bangalore or Hyderabad or Chennai or Bangalore or Pune, they will look at a 3-bedroom. So that's the kind of upgradation which will happen. We continue to see the cities doing well, and we continue to see that confidence level moving up. To look at emerging sectors, emerging cities, yes, it's going to take time.
All right. So if you have any more questions about what you just heard, you can write to us. Email ID is on your screen right now. I'll take a few questions that have come in during the week. Samir has written in. He wants to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in Manjari near Hadapsar in Pune with a budget of 45 lakh rupees. Investment horizon of 3 to 5 years. He shortlisted the Kalpataru Serenity by the Kalpataru Group. He wants some advice on the location's future prospects. Prashant, you want to take this?
So, of course, Manjari is located on the, Pune-Solapur highway around 4 kilometers from, Hadapsar. It's conveniently close to the commercial centers of, Magarpata as well as, Kharadi. If we just look at the under development inventory, currently there are 3,000 units and an inventory overhang of around 23 months, which shows a good demand for this locality. Average prices of 4,000 again compare very favorably, to prices in nearby localities. Thus, it is a good locality to look at in terms of investment. Kalpataru Serenity, of course, has seen a price appreciation of about 6.3% in the last 12 months, despite the poor, market conditions. Thus, I would say that, if he can look at, investing on Serenity, the current price is about 4,150 per square feet. and given the improved market sentiment, we should look at appreciation about 10 to 15% every year.
All right, let's quickly take another question. Subin has written in, he wants to buy a plot of land in Artha Neo Hoskote in Bangalore with a budget of 20 lakh rupees. He wants some advice on the developer's credentials and the ideal price he should buy at. Now, for those of you who don't know, Hoskote is a small town located outside of Bangalore on the old Madras Road. It's now almost become part of Bangalore. Do you recommend he goes ahead with that purchase, and is that a good price?
But I would be very cautious considering the way the Bangalore is growing at this point of time. Buying a land is very nice, but going outside Bangalore and buying something which may not see appreciation in next 5-10 years, it will be very difficult to say that he can make more money by investing into Bangalore, buying an apartment into Bangalore.
All right, and there are with his budget, if he has 20 lakh rupees and he stretches it a little bit, there are options.
He can find options in Bangalore itself.
All right, there are options in Bangalore. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the new government's impact on areas like the NCR and the real estate sector. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. You're watching The Property Guide on ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. Both Om and Prashant are with us, and we're talking about the big changes that the elections have brought and will bring to the realty sector. Om, one of the biggest problems that were faced all across the NCR was that of liquidity. The fact that there wasn't enough money flowing into the real estate sector, and we saw even the biggest names have trouble completing a project and handing it over. Is that something that you expect will now slowly iron itself out?
Well, I think it's a fundamental question. There is a regulatory bill which has to be cleared by the Parliament, central regulatory bill, which is now drawing inspiration from Maharashtra regulatory bill. If something of that sort happens, then we will see a hope. At this point of time, it is a consumer at the mercy of a developer. If he completes, it's fine. If he doesn't complete, he has to be quiet. Going to a court is not a solution for a consumer because it takes 20 years, 15 years in India to get a solution from that. So we are seeing this is more a policy issue at this point of time to get addressed from the new government. Expectation is it may not happen overnight, but we may see that there will be a solution to this.
Prashant, are you hearing anything right now from developers in the NCR? Has anything changed on the ground for them? Are they sounding more optimistic?
So, of course, the expectation of a positive, mandated government and the outcomes in terms of improved, job creation as well as improved demand for real estate is something that everyone is looking forward to. As I said, currently there are a lot of deals in the market which are still available for buyers to come in, and I think the developers are more than happy to actually give the same deals for the next few months. I think the focus would be to improve absorption and thus improve liquidity for the developers and improve the cash flows, which would result in better financial conditions as well as quality delivery as you mentioned.
All right, and the last question, Om, is when it comes to permissions. Now we've seen, especially in cities like Mumbai, developers complaining that permissions are not coming fast enough, which is why they're not able to finish. Do you think that will change, considering that in Mumbai, for example, permissions are still being controlled by the state government?
Well, again, if you listen to the kind of ground situation today, if you don't have an IOD, environment clearance is not possible. Earlier, there was no clarity on the subject. To every file which went to Environment Ministry without an IOD, came back saying that now you provide an IOD for every project what you want to clear. So there are more procedural aspects. What we are seeing is nothing to do with lack of clarity or lack of procedural aspect. It's more to see that if there is a clear laid down policy, it will save a lot of time for developers. It will save a lot of time for people who want to buy. And more the options in the market, it's good for a consumer. And what we're seeing is all this while, because in last 3-4 years, Bombay saw a lot of procedural delays that has resulted into prices moving up. And we believe that if this new government at the center brings in a regulator, and Maharashtra is in the process of rolling out a regulator coming, so all these things will only benefit the industry. It will benefit the common man, which is more, Maharashtra is more a decision in implementation and center will be decision in creation. So I guess it's a matter of 1 or 2 quarters more. In Maharashtra, we'll see more clarity on this.
All right, I want to take a few questions on the NCR. Faisal has written in, he tells us he's an NRI Now, he's invested in a 955 square foot size 2-bedroom apartment in Gaurson's Atulyam in Noida with a booking price of 30 lakh rupees. What sort of returns can he expect in a 5 to 7 year horizon? Given the change of administration now, considering Noida is in UP, do you expect some sort of infrastructure changes as well? Noida has better infrastructure than the rest of the NCR, but what can Noida expect over the next 5 years?
Well, Noida happens to be one of the areas which we feel is undervalued in terms of price to the product quality what you get there, in terms of infrastructure to what you really would like to stay compared to whole of NCR. It's little ahead of time in terms when you compare it to other parts of NCR. What we see today is beyond Noida, it's Greater Noida, you look at Yamuna Expressway, you look at Noida Extension. Most of these areas are currently, we see either there's a situation of oversupply, either we see a situation of people not being comfortable to move in there because of law and order situation not being very strong there. So if these things are not worked upon, it will be very difficult for these areas to become habitable. So we believe these are great areas to look at in terms of investments, but not at this point of time for staying.
So for someone like him who's already invested and given his booking amount already, what should he expect?
I guess one should take a long-term view and stay put with it.
All right, another question about Ghaziabad. Rajesh Kumar has written in, now he's planning to buy a 2-bedroom apartment plus a study in Ghaziabad with a budget of 45 to 50 lakh rupees. He shortlisted the Pratik Grand City, the pre-launch phase. He wants to know what the project's credentials are and if there's an alternative option within the same budget in that neighborhood. Prashant, you're the man for this job. Tell us, is that the best option for him or is there a better option in Ghaziabad?
No, Pratik Grand City, is a good choice, given that he is looking at, close to Indirapuram. I would say that, it is a 40-acre development with close to 4,000 units planned, very, strategically located when compared to Indirapuram. Indirapuram today, trades at upwards of 6,000 rupees a square feet. So that way, it's a good investment, and also, the location is ideal given connectivity to Delhi and Noida. For a budget of 45 to 50 lakhs, I think, the other areas he can look at would be the Noida Extension or the Yamuna Expressway.
If you have any more questions, of course, you can get in touch with us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. You can reach me on Twitter as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll look south and talk about Chennai. We also have a question to answer on Mumbai, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. Om and Prashant are with us, helping us make smarter decisions when it comes to buying property. Let's take a few questions. Ghanshyam has written in, he wants to buy an apartment in Egmore in Chennai with a budget of up to 4 crore rupees. Now, he shortlisted 2 properties, he tells us, one of which is under construction. The other is an old building, about 30 years old. He says, please help me with the locality's current average price and what essential documents he should seek from the builder. Now, we were talking about this in the break. There's a massive difference right now between resale property, old buildings and new projects. In that location, is there an average price between the two?
It's very difficult to get an average price in Egmore. Egmore is a heart of the city. In technical terms, it is the best location of Chennai at this point of time, in addition to Poise Garden and many other places. The challenge there is a resale building, which is basically a standalone building, will be available between 6,000 to 8,000 rupees per square feet. And whereas if you go to a new developments which are coming up with everything built inside, gated community, best of the address, best of the profiles living there, those buildings are available between 14,000 to 16,000 rupees per square feet. So if you look at if you want to derive an average price, it's extremely difficult. What is the potential of a new building? Why should one look at a new building versus saying standalone buildings? I think that it's a culture of moving into a gated communities. What we are seeing is slowly shift that happening, and the old buildings are basically in dilapidated condition, which is having more than 10 years or 15 years of construction life already completed. Potential for appreciation is a big challenge there.
30 years, he says. It's 30 years.
So 30 years would basically be, at a very difficult to say that building will appreciate from here. Will it be in a livable condition? Will it basically be offering the lifestyle what one is looking at?
So he'll basically be paying for the land then that he's buying?
I would say, frankly, it's not a land, it's not a redevelopment option too, which is can be considered. But I think one should look at, if one is looking at a long-term in 4 crore budget in Egmore, there are multiple projects, very reputed developer projects available in Egmore area, which can be considered.
Prashant, I want to bring you in here. He has 2 more questions. He wants to know what sort of documents he should make sure he gets from the builder. And if we're talking about 4 crore rupees in the area of Egmore in Chennai, are there projects right now available to him within that budget?
Yeah, so 4 crore is a decent budget, and as you know, Om said, for new construction, of course, the price hovers between 15 to 17,000 rupees a square feet, whereas for the old construction, the prices are about 7,500 odd rupees a square feet. So, of course, it's about an individual choice in terms of what kind of amenities does he want, when looking at, buying a property. And so, of course, if you buy a old construction property, which is about 30 years old, you are pretty much investing on the land, as you said. And in terms of documentation, of course, if you are looking at buying a new project from the developer, definitely look at, the title search in terms of the land being, clear, given that this is a very established locality of the market. Of course, look at, what are the amenities, what is the agreement to sell saying in terms of what is the UDS that, you would be getting as part of buying a flat on that project. Look at, the background of the developer and his track record in terms of delivering other projects in this neighborhood or, similar neighborhoods in the city. For old construction, pretty much it would remain the same, but title search becomes much more important when you're looking at old construction. Look at, the documents, look at what is the undivided share of land that is being allotted to you, and then, make a decision.
Anything to add? Oh.
I would say the 4 projects which are very famous in this area one can look at as DLF's Commander Court as one of the projects which is there. Then you have Maruti Builders Sinduk Eternity is a project which we can look at in the same budget. Then we have Coromandel Engineering Sri Krishna Apartments, and last one is Prince Foundation's Courtyard. So these are the 4 projects which are basically offering value for money deals in the same budget and have a huge potential to appreciate.
All right, another question. Rajkumar has written in, invested in a 3.5 bedroom apartment in Aqua Lily Mahindra World City, GST Road, Chennai. The budget of 680 lakh rupees, I beg your pardon. Now, the capital appreciation on the property is currently very low. He wants to know if he should sell that property at the current value and reinvest somewhere else. Is that something you'd recommend?
I would say not to do that and just stay put with it, because we've seen last 1.5 year growth in Chennai has been, specifically most of the cities, has been very, very slow. And we would see that, the rebound of things happening with the current environment.
All right. Another very quick question. Farouk has written in. He's an NRI based out of Dubai who watches the show on a regular basis. Thank you for watching, Farouk. Now, he tells us he owns a 2-bedroom apartment in the Lokanwala Spring Grove, Kandivali East in Mumbai. Now, he made a booking in 2011 at 8,300 rupees a square foot plus floor rise under a construction-linked plan. He tells us the current value of the property is about 13,000 rupees a square foot. Should he sell this apartment, reinvest it in the city's western suburbs, will that fetch him higher rental returns? I first want to ask Prashant, what sort of rate will he get for that project right now if he tries to offload what he has?
So currently, the rate, of course, is what 13,000 rupees a square feet in the market. The project is not yet delivered, so I think by year end he should look at a delivery of the project. In terms of rental returns, the going rate is about 28 to 30 rupees a square feet. And when you look at residential property, of course, the rental yield is close to 3%, and that's what most projects would offer. Thus, our suggestion would be that he stays put, given that now is the time when the sentiments pick up. We see that this project would also take advantage of price increases in the future.
All right, stay put. But the other question here is, will the western suburbs do better than a Kandivali East right now?
Well, I would say Kandivali is part of western suburbs, and I guess the rental yield in western suburbs, as rightly said by Prashant, is what is the best he can expect is 28 to 35 rupees per square feet. I guess it doesn't make sense for him to liquidate this and buy another apartment for just making a transaction. It's a good project what he's bought in, good price what he's bought in. I don't see a major correction, or if in case a correction happens in Bombay, he will not see a price what he is currently selling at. So it's better to stay put, just ensure that once the delivery happens, look for a tenant.
All right, so stay put and of course look for a tenant once delivery happens. Remember, if you have any questions for either Om or Prashant, you can write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending your time with us this weekend and answering our questions. That's a wrap on this show. Thanks so much for watching. Stay with ET Now for more news and updates.